Well, welcome back to Whole Bible Study with me, Taddy Noy. And now today we're on Exodus chapter 27. So welcome back to Whole Bible Study with me, Taddy Noy. And if you've been walking together through the powerful story of God's deliverance, and here now in Exodus 27, we step deeper into the detailed instructions God gave for his dwelling place among his people. This chapter focuses on the construction of the altar of burnt offering, the courtyard, and the oil for the lamps. While it might seem purely architectural at first glance, this chapter is a treasure trove of meaning. Every measure, material, and placement tells us something about Israel's relationship with God, their cultural world, and the theological vision at the heart of the tabernacle. So let's begin by reading Exodus 27 together from the World English Bible. I'm experimenting with different versions to make the readings more clear and cohesive and easy to listen to, so without destroying some of the meaning. But no matter what, I'll always dig into the meaning in the deep dives. Exodus chapter 27. You shall make the altar of acacia wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. The altar shall be square. Its height shall be 3 cubits. You shall make its horns on its 4 corners. Its horns shall be one piece with it. You shall overlay it with bronze. You shall make its pots. You shall make its pots to take away its ashes, its shovels, its basins, its meat hooks, and its fire pans. You shall make all the vessels of bronze. You shall make a grating for it, a network of bronze, and on the net you shall make 4 bronze rings in its 4 corners. You shall put it under the ledge around the altar beneath, that the net may reach halfway up the altar. You shall make poles for the altar, poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with bronze. Its poles shall be put into the rings, and the poles shall be on the 2 sides of the altar when carrying it. You shall make it hollow with planks. They shall make it as it has been shown to you on the mountain. You shall make the court of the tabernacle for the south side southward. There shall be hangings for the court of the twinned linen, 100 cubits long for one side. Their pillars shall be 20, and their sockets 20 of bronze. The hooks of the pillar and their fillets shall be of silver. Likewise, for the length of the north side, there shall be hangings 100 cubits long, and their pillars 20, and their sockets 20 of bronze. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. For the width of the court on the west side shall be hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. The width of the court on the east side eastward shall be 50 cubits. The hangings for the one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. For the other side shall be hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. For the gate of the court shall be a screen of 20 cubits of blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and fine twined linen, the work of the embroiderer, their pillars 4, and their sockets 4. All of the pillars of the court shall be filleted with silver, their hooks of silver and their sockets of bronze. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the width 50 throughout, and the height 5 cubits of fine twined linen, and their sockets of bronze. All the instruments of the tabernacle in all its service, and all its pins, and all the pins of the court shall be of bronze. You shall command the children of Israel that they bring to you pure olive oil beaten for the light, to cause a lamp to burn continually. In the tent of meeting, outside the veil which is before the testimony, Aaron and his sons shall keep in order from evening to morning before Yahweh. It shall be a statute forever throughout their generations on the behalf of the children of Israel. Now for the deep dive commentary. Exodus 27 invites us into the outer court of the tabernacle, where every Israelite could come near. The centerpiece here is the bronze altar, known in Hebrew as the mitzbich, mitzbich hanechochet, literally the altar of bronze. This was the primary place of sacrifice where offerings were burnt. Sin was atoned for, and the covenant relationship between God and his people was maintained through blood and fire. The choice of acacia wood, shittim in Hebrew, was no accident. Acacia was one of the few durable hardwoods available in the Sinai region. Resistant to rot and insect damage, it was a symbol of resilience and incorruptibility, qualities befitting something set apart for God's holy service. The altar was 5 cubits by 5 cubits, about 7.5 feet square, and 3 cubits high, around 4.5 feet. Its perfect square shape conveyed order, stability, and completeness. In the ancient Near Eastern architecture, squares often represented balance and cosmic order, something that reflected the harmony God intended between himself and his people. The horns at each corner were integral, not just decorative. In the ancient world, horns symbolized strength and power. In Israel, they also carried the idea of refuge. Later in the biblical narrative, individuals seeking sanctuary would grab a hold of the altar's horns, appealing for mercy in 1 Kings 150. Covering the altar with bronze was significant. Bronze in the biblical context was associated with judgment and endurance. Its ability to withstand intense heat mirrored the altar's function as the place where sin was judged through sacrifice. The utensils used: pots, shovels, basins, meat hooks, and fire pans, revealed the daily, ongoing nature of Israel's worship. Sacrifices were not rare events. They were part of the daily rhythm, a constant reminder of God's holiness and their need for atonement. The grating or network of bronze placed halfway up the altar allows ashes and remains to fall below while enabling air circulation, ensuring the sacrifices burned thoroughly. The poles for carrying the altar preserved its sanctity by preventing direct contact with the holy object, echoing the same principle we see with the Ark of the Covenant. This portability was essential for the people on the move. Now, the courtyard itself, it's 100 cubits long and 50 cubits wide, 150 by 75 feet. It was enclosed with fine twined linen. This linen wall wasn't meant to conceal, but to mark sacred space, setting apart the dwelling of God from the camp. Now, the silver hooks and bronze bases reinforce this theme. Silver in biblical symbolism is often linked to redemption, while bronze again connects to judgment. The gate was 20 cubits wide and made with blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, colors rich with symbolism. Now, blue, techelet, evoked the heavens and divine revelation. Purple spoke of royalty and nobility, and scarlet represented blood and sacrifice. Now, this embroidered entrance was a theological statement. Entry into God's presence came through divine kingship, sacrifice, and of course, covenant. The chapter closes with instructions about pure olive oil beaten for the light. The menorah was not in the outer court, but inside the holy place. Yet the oil was to be supplied by the people. This detail tied every Israelite to the ongoing worship of God. The phrase, quote, "to cause a lamp to burn continually," speaks to God's perpetual presence and the call for his people to remain vigilant in devotion. In ancient Israel, oil was beaten, not pressed, for its purest yield. This method reflects a theme of costly devotion. The best was set aside for God. Now, from an anthropological perspective, the altar and the courtyard layout paralleled other ancient Near Eastern sanctuaries. But there's key differences. Pagan temples often restricted commoners entirely, reserving sacrifices for priests alone. In Israel's model, while the inner sanctum was restricted, the outer court was accessible, reinforcing the covenant identity of all Israel as a kingdom of priests, Exodus 19:6. Now, theologically, the bronze altar served as the meeting point between God's holiness and human sinfulness, where substitutionary sacrifices bridged the gap. Now, even the measurements mattered. The symmetry of the courtyard reflects God's order in creation, mirroring the Genesis account's portrayal of the structured cosmos. Now, the altar's centrality visually communicated that atonement was at the heart of life with God. The continual lamp oil reminded Israel that worship was not a once-a-week activity. It was an unbroken flame, a symbol of faithfulness from evening to morning, which in Hebrew reckoning marked the full span of a day. When we step back and look at Exodus 27 as a whole, we see a theology of access. God was making his dwelling among his people, but he was also teaching them through physical space and material culture how to approach him with reverence. Now, the bronze altar proclaimed the seriousness of sin and the cost of atonement. The linen courtyard boundaries proclaimed the separation between holy and common. The gate's embroidered colors proclaimed the beauty of God's presence, and the continual light proclaimed that his covenant love was unwavering. Now for some closing comments. Friends, Exodus 27 reminds us that even the smallest details of God's instructions carry weight. The ancient Israelites didn't just stumble into worship. They were taught how to create a space where God's holiness and human need could meet. Today, we no longer bring sacrifices to a bronze altar. The principles endure. God still calls us to offer the best of what we have, to mark out sacred space in our lives, and to keep the flame of devotion burning continually. I want to thank you for walking through this chapter with me. Your time and your heart matter here, and I hope these cultural and theological layers have brought the text alive for you. I'd love to hear what stood out to you, maybe something about the materials, the symbolism, or the way Israel's worship life was structured. Share your thoughts in the comments so we can keep exploring these topics together. God bless you, and I look forward to seeing you in our next chapter tomorrow.